Stuck on a deserted island with my boss, she asked. If we're alone, will you stay by my side? The waves sparkled as if sprinkled with tiny diamonds. For most of the crew, it was a normal day of routine checks and light duties. But for Alex Turner, the company's young engineer, it was anything but ordinary. Alex had always been careful, organized, and aware of every possible contingency. He liked to think of himself as practical and precise, the kind of person who noticed details others would overlook. And on this trip, he had his eyes on one detail above all: the boss. Mara Hensley was the CEO of Titan Tech Industries. Brilliant, commanding, and perfectly composed, she had a reputation for being demanding and distant. To Alex, she was also human, though she rarely let anyone see it. He had worked under her for 2 years and had never shared a casual conversation that lasted more than a few minutes. "Alex," Mara said sharply as she appeared on the deck, her hair pulled back in a tight bun, "make sure all the equipment is functioning. I want the energy core inspected before we reach the coordinates." "Yes, ma'am," Alex replied, adjusting his gloves. He liked the word coordinates. It made him feel like an explorer, even though he was really just an engineer checking circuits. The yacht had been traveling toward a supposedly uncharted region of the Pacific. Titan Tech had been testing a new energy prototype, designed to generate limitless power from minimal resources. The technology was revolutionary, but it was also experimental, which is why the yacht was equipped with a crew trained for anything, though Alex had always hoped they would never face anything extreme. Fate, however, had other plans. By late afternoon, the weather changed suddenly. A storm appeared on the horizon, dark clouds rolling faster than anyone could predict. The wind picked up, tossing the yacht like a toy in the waves. Rain began to pour, thick and heavy. "Everyone to your stations," Mara commanded, her voice cutting through the roar of the wind. Even in danger, she was calm, almost unnaturally so. Alex hurried to the energy core, checking circuits and stabilizers, while the yacht groaned under the storm's force. Then came a blinding flash of lightning, striking dangerously close. The yacht shuddered violently. "Alex, emergency!" shouted Mara. Her voice was firm, but Alex noticed the tension in her shoulders, something he had rarely seen. The storm hit with sudden fury. Waves towered like walls, battering the yacht from all sides. Equipment flew across the deck. The emergency sirens wailed, drowning out everything. Alex held on to a railing, watching as Mara moved with precise, commanding motions, giving orders to crew members. But then it happened. A massive wave hit the yacht at an impossible angle. The deck tilted, the hull creaked, and then silence. Alex opened his eyes to sunlight, though it felt brighter than usual. He was lying on soft sand, drenched, coughing up seawater. The yacht was gone, and the storm had vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Around him, the ocean sparkled under a calm, blue sky. He struggled to his feet. A few meters away, Mara sat on the sand, her suit torn and damp hair plastered to her face. She looked up at him with wide eyes, vulnerability etched across features he had never seen outside boardrooms. "Alex," she began, her voice almost a whisper, "are you okay?" "I think so," Alex replied, coughing once more. "And you?" she nodded, brushing sand off her sleeves. "Yes, I think I'm okay, but the yacht," her words trailed off. Alex glanced around. The yacht was nowhere in sight, no debris. Only the beach, a thick line of forest behind it, and strange, distant rocks jutting from the sea. It was as if the ocean had swallowed the vessel whole. Mara stood slowly, steadying herself. "We need to find shelter. We can't just wait here," Alex nodded. He had never felt panic like this before, but he forced himself to focus. Survival meant logic, not fear. He scanned the forest ahead, dense, green, and untouched. No trails, no signs of human habitation. They were alone. "Do you have a survival plan?" Mara asked, surprisingly calm. Alex hesitated. He had taken survival classes, read manuals, and watched countless videos, but this was real. No instructions, no videos, just them. He swallowed hard. First, we need water and shelter, then food. We should make a plan to signal for help, but I don't know how long that will take. Mara studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. Then let's start. They walked into the forest, each step a reminder of how isolated they truly were. The ground was uneven, roots hidden beneath leaves, and strange calls of birds and animals echoed around them. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. Mara, despite her usual confidence, moved cautiously but steadily, showing no panic. Hours passed. They found a small clearing near a freshwater stream. Alex examined it carefully. The water looks clean, but we should boil it before drinking. We can use some metal from the yacht if it's nearby. Mara's eyes softened and she said quietly, almost to herself, I never imagined being like this, stripped of everything. Alex glanced at her. He had never seen this side, the side where power and authority vanished, leaving just a human being. We'll manage, he said, trying to sound confident. We have each other. She looked at him, a faint smile on her lips. If we're alone, will you stay by my side? Alex's heart skipped a beat. It was the first time she had spoken like that, without the shield of corporate etiquette. He nodded. Yes, we'll get through this together. As the sun set, they gathered driftwood and leaves to create a temporary shelter. The sky turned fiery orange, then deep purple, and the sounds of the forest grew louder at night. They sat near the small fire Alex managed to make, eating whatever scraps they could find and drinking from the stream. You know, Mara said, tossing a small stick into the fire, I've never had to rely on anyone like this, not even my assistants. Alex shrugged. It's not easy, but we have to. That's the only way we survive. They fell into an uneasy silence, broken only by the crackling fire and distant calls of unknown creatures. The isolation was terrifying, but it was also grounding. Mara's presence, once intimidating, now felt human, fragile even. Night came, and with it a strange, almost otherworldly glow from the horizon. Alex noticed it first, faint lights moving under the water, pulsing gently. Do you see that? He whispered. Mara leaned closer. What is it? I don't know, Alex admitted. It looks like something alive, or maybe not human. They watched together, curiosity overcoming fear. For the first time, Mara didn't speak in commands, didn't hide behind authority. She was just human, and Alex realized that in this strange, wild place they were equal, no titles, no ranks, no corporate hierarchy. As the stars appeared, Alex felt a strange hope. Survival was uncertain, the world was strange, but they had each other. And somehow that made all the difference. The sun rose slowly over the deserted island, painting the sand in soft shades of gold. Alex woke to the sound of waves gently lapping at the shore and the distant calls of birds. Beside him, Mara stirred under their makeshift shelter, her hair damp and tangled from the night. Morning, Alex said softly. He didn't want to startle her. Mara sat up and rubbed her eyes. Morning, how long do you think we've been here? She asked, her voice still carrying the faint edge of authority, softened by exhaustion. Maybe one night, Alex replied, though he wasn't entirely sure. Time had already begun to blur. On the island, days seemed longer and nights quieter, marked only by the rising and setting of the sun. Mara stood, stretching carefully. We need a plan. We can't just survive, we need to figure out if help will come. Alex nodded. First, water and food. Then shelter that can withstand storms. After that, maybe we can look for anything left from the yacht or signals. Together, they followed the small stream further inland. The forest was dense but beautiful, with tall trees and vines hanging like curtains. Birds with bright feathers darted through the branches and small animals scurried at the underbrush. Alex paused. The water is clean, but we should boil it before drinking. There might be bacteria or something. Mara looked at him. You know a lot for an engineer, she said. Alex smiled faintly. I read a lot. Survival is about knowledge, about noticing things others don't, she nodded thoughtfully. I've relied on knowledge my whole life too, but in a different way, always for business. Now it feels useless here. The words surprised Alex. Mara's usual confidence, her sharp edges, all seemed to melt when they were alone. She was just another human, vulnerable and uncertain. They reached a clearing near the stream and set up a more stable shelter than the night before. Using fallen branches and large leaves, they built a structure that could shield them from rain. Alex was practical and meticulous, making sure the walls were sturdy, while Mara helped carry materials and organize their small supplies. By midday, they took their first cautious steps toward finding food. Alex found edible plants and fruits, carefully checking each one before tasting. Mara learned quickly, following his lead. Together they gathered roots, berries, and coconuts, a small feast compared to the luxury of the yacht, but enough to keep them alive. As they rested by the stream, Mara spoke quietly, almost to herself. I never thought I'd be like this, stripped of everything. Alex looked at her. It's scary, I know, but we have each other. We'll manage. Mara's eyes softened and she gave him a faint, tentative smile. If we're alone, will you stay by my side? Alex's heart skipped a beat, but he nodded firmly. Yes, we'll get through this together. The days passed slowly, each one blending into the next. They built a fire pit, collected rainwater, and learned the rhythms of the island. Alex became more confident in their ability to survive, while Mara learned to listen, to follow, and sometimes even to laugh. It was a strange companionship, born not out of friendship but necessity, and something deeper, unspoken, was growing between them. One afternoon, while exploring near the rocky shore, Alex noticed something unusual. Half buried in the sand was a metallic object unlike anything he had seen. He bent down and brushed away the sand. It was smooth, dark, and seemed to hum faintly. Mara, look at this, he called. She came over, squinting at the strange object. What is it? I don't know, Alex admitted. It looks advanced. Maybe part of the yacht. Mara reached out and touched it carefully. A small panel opened, revealing glowing symbols. They weren't human letters or numbers. This isn't from the yacht, Alex said, awe in his voice. It's something else. Something ancient, maybe alien. Mara stepped back, eyes wide. Alien? Are you serious? Yes, but it seems inactive for now, Alex said. He examined it more closely, noting that the object seemed to be made of a material stronger than anything on Earth. He touched a panel, and a faint holographic light flickered in the air, faint images, patterns, and symbols that neither of them could understand. This changes everything, Mara whispered, her usual control slipping. We're not just stranded, we're on something extraordinary. Alex nodded. We should be careful. We don't know what it is, but maybe it can help us survive. Over the next few days, they explored the island more carefully, always returning to the stream and their shelter. Alex became obsessed with the metallic object. He tried to study it, pressing panels and touching symbols. Slowly, tiny pieces of information started to appear. A low hum, faint lights, small energy pulses that could power their fire or help purify water. Mara observed quietly, sometimes asking questions, sometimes just watching him work. She was learning patience, observation, and trust, qualities she had seldom used in the corporate world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they sat by the fire, eating coconuts and roasted roots. The island was quiet, except for the gentle crash of waves. You know, Mara said softly, I've always thought survival was about strength and strategy. But it's really about thinking, noticing, and trusting someone else. Alex smiled. Exactly. It's not about being the strongest. It's about being smart and adaptable. And you have to care, too. Caring helps you make better choices. Mara's eyes softened. I care, she said simply. About this, about us. Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He realized that their bond was growing, forged not in luxury but in fire, rain, and hardship. The nights were long and quiet. They slept in shifts, keeping the fire alive. Sometimes strange noises came from the forest, animals perhaps, or something more mysterious. On one such night, Alex awoke to faint glowing lights in the distance. He nudged Mara gently. "Look," he whispered. They watched together as small, pulsing lights danced across the forest edge. They weren't fireflies. They moved in patterns almost like they were watching them. "Do you think it's alive?" Mara asked, voice barely audible. Alex shook his head slowly. "I don't know. But it's intelligent. Maybe it's part of the island. Maybe it's connected to the object I found." They decided to observe but not approach. For now, safety was more important than curiosity, but Alex's mind raced with possibilities. The island was not ordinary. It held secrets that could change everything they knew about the world, maybe even humanity itself. Over the next few days, they continued to improve their shelter and survival techniques. Alex used parts from the metallic object to create small tools: a simple water purifier, a reflective panel to signal planes, even a basic energy source for fire. Mara learned quickly, carrying supplies, helping with construction, and even defending their small camp from curious animals. One afternoon, a sudden storm rolled in, darker and fiercer than the last. Rain poured in sheets, wind howled, and the forest trembled. Their shelter held barely. Alex and Mara huddled inside, hearts racing, waiting for the storm to pass. After hours, the storm ended as suddenly as it had begun. The air smelled of wet earth and salt. Alex stepped outside to assess the damage. Some branches had fallen, the stream had overflowed, but they were safe. Mara joined him, shivering slightly. "We're tougher than I thought," she admitted. Alex smiled. "We are. Humans are amazing. We adapt, we survive, and we care for each other. That's what makes us strong." Mara looked at him, eyes glistening in the late afternoon light. "If we're alone, I hope you'd still stay by my side." Alex nodded. "Always, no matter what." As the sun set, they sat together by the fire. The island was beautiful, mysterious, and dangerous. But for the first time, they felt at home. Together, they were stronger than the challenges around them. And somewhere deep in the forest, faint lights continued to pulse, watching, waiting, as if the island itself was aware of the two humans who had arrived. Humans unlike any it had ever seen. The days on the island passed slowly, marked by survival routines and quiet. Companionship. Alex and Mara had established a rhythm. Mornings spent collecting water and food, afternoons exploring, evenings maintaining their shelter, and nights by the fire sharing thoughts and fears. The alien object Alex had found remained a constant fascination, glowing faintly in the dark, its secrets teasing them with every passing day. One morning, as Alex studied the object near the stream, a soft hum filled the air. The energy seemed stronger than before, pulsing in a slow, rhythmic pattern. He looked up at Mara, who was carefully arranging leaves for their shelter. "Alex, is it supposed to do that?" she asked. "I don't think so," he replied, his eyes fixed on the object. "It's reacting. Something must have triggered it." Before they could investigate further, a sudden beam of light shot upward from the object, piercing the morning sky. The air around them shimmered, and a holographic projection appeared, hovering above the sand like a ghostly figure. Mara gasped. What is that?" Alex took a cautious step forward. The projection was humanoid in shape but made entirely of glowing lines, pulsing with energy. It spoke in a calm, melodic voice, though the words were instantly translated in their minds. "Greetings, travelers. You are observed. You have arrived at the Isle of Testing. Your species has been under study for evaluation of adaptability, intelligence, and moral capacity." Mara froze. "Testing? Evaluation? What do you mean?" The hologram's light flickered. "This island is an ancient research hub. Your species' ability to survive, think, and empathize is being recorded. Your decisions will determine if your species demonstrates the qualities necessary for advancement." Alex's eyes widened. Advancement. Are we talking about aliens? The projection pulsed gently. Your species is under assessment. Observations begin now. Mara turned to Alex, fear and disbelief in her eyes. Assessment, we're being watched. Why us? I don't know, Alex admitted, feeling the weight of the situation settle on his shoulders. But we have to be careful. Every choice we make, it could matter. For the next several hours, they explored cautiously, trying to understand the hologram's instructions. The island itself seemed to respond to their presence. Trees shifted slightly as they walked. Streams glimmered with an unnatural light, and distant glowing shapes moved silently in the forest. Alex studied the alien object more closely, now convinced that it was not just a tool but a key. Small energy panels had opened, displaying symbols and images that slowly made sense. They weren't just technology, they were instructions, challenges, puzzles, tests for human ingenuity. Mara watched him work, her usual composure returning. "We'll figure this out," she said firmly. "We always do." Their first real test came in the form of a small device buried near the stream. It was a cube of dark metal, no larger than a fist. When Alex touched it, holographic symbols floated above it, forming patterns they had never seen. "I think we need to manipulate these patterns," Alex said, carefully moving his fingers over the cube. "The cube responds to logic and intuition. It's testing our problem-solving skills." Mara leaned closer. "We should try together. Two minds are better than one." Hours passed as they experimented. Patterns shifted, lights pulsed, and energy flowed through the cube. At first, it was frustrating. Every failed attempt caused the cube to reset. But Alex and Mara learned to combine reasoning and intuition, sometimes pausing to discuss possibilities, other times acting on instinct. Finally, the cube glowed brightly, then projected a larger hologram. The voice returned, calm and melodic. Observation, adaptive problem-solving demonstrated, assessment progressing, emotional responses will now be measured. Mara looked at Alex, her usual guarded demeanor replaced by something softer. "Emotional responses. What does that mean?" Alex hesitated. "I think they want to see how we react to each other, to care, to trust, to make choices that aren't just logical." The next challenge came quickly. While exploring the forest, they found two paths. One was clearly safer, leading around jagged rocks and thick vines. The other was narrower, overgrown, and led toward a glowing light in the distance. Mara frowned. "We should take the safe path. We don't know what's out there." Alex shook his head. "The light, it could be important. Maybe it's part of the tests." They argued briefly, each trying to assert their reasoning. Finally, Mara sighed. "Fine, but we stay together, no splitting up." As they approached the glowing area, they discovered a shallow cave. Inside, faint symbols glowed on the walls, and at the center was another metallic device, larger than the first, humming softly. Alex touched it cautiously. The hologram appeared again, this time larger, its form towering over them. Assessment, moral decision required. Your species' empathy, loyalty, and courage will now be tested. Mara's eyes widened. Moral decision. What kind of test? The device projected images, holographic scenes of humans in danger. Some were people they didn't know, some resembled them. The scenes shifted, showing various scenarios: a bridge collapsing, a fire spreading, a person trapped under debris. Alex realized immediately. We're supposed to choose who we save, or how we act. Mara's hand trembled slightly. This is insane. We can't possibly know the right choice. Alex took a deep breath. We do what we can, together. They decided to solve the challenge by combining logic and emotion. Alex analyzed the scenarios quickly, calculating risks and resources. Mara considered the human element, deciding who could survive with the least harm and who needed immediate help. Finally, they acted. Using tools from the alien devices and their own ingenuity, they simulated saving the holographic humans. The cube pulsed, lights flowing along the floor like water. Then silence, The hologram reappeared. Observation, empathy, cooperation, and courage demonstrated. Assessment continues. Mara exhaled slowly. I didn't think I'd feel anything, but I did. Caring about people I've never met, it matters. Alex nodded. It does. That's what makes us human. That's what they're testing. Over the next several days, the tests grew more complex. Environmental challenges, ethical dilemmas, and puzzle-like tasks required both their minds and their hearts. The island itself seemed alive, responding to their decisions. One evening, after a particularly difficult challenge that involved redirecting water to prevent a flood, Alex and Mara sat by the fire, exhausted but triumphant. "You know," Mara said softly, "I've never relied on anyone like this before, not even in business. I've always been the one in control." Alex smiled faintly. "Sometimes being human isn't about control. It's about adapting, learning, and trusting others." Mara looked at him, her eyes glistening in the firelight. "I trust you, Alex, completely." Alex felt warmth spread through him. The bond between them had deepened, forged not just by survival, but by shared challenges, decisions, and the raw honesty that came with isolation. That night, as they lay near the fire, Alex glanced at the glowing lights in the distance, the strange pulses from the forest. They seemed closer now, moving with purpose. He realized that the island wasn't just observing, it was interacting, learning about them, testing them, and responding to their humanity. Mara noticed his gaze. "Do you think it's alive?" she asked softly. Alex nodded slowly. "Maybe, or maybe it's just advanced technology. But whatever it is, it's teaching us something. About ourselves." They fell asleep under the stars, the alien glow faintly illuminating the forest beyond. They didn't know what the next day would bring: more tests, more challenges, or something entirely unexpected. But one thing was certain. Together, they were stronger than the island, stronger than the tests, and stronger than any challenge that lay ahead. Humanity, with all its flaws, creativity, and courage, was proving its worth. One decision, one moment, one heartbeat at a time. The island had grown into a world of both wonder and danger. Alex and Mara had adapted, learning the rhythm of its forests, streams, and strange glowing lights. Every day brought new challenges, and the alien devices they had discovered continued to test their ingenuity, empathy, and courage. One morning, Alex woke to the sound of rushing water. The stream they had relied on for survival had swollen overnight. Rain had fallen somewhere in the mountains, feeding the river that now threatened to flood their camp. "Mara, wake up!" he shouted. Mara stirred quickly, already alert. "What is it?" "The stream. It's rising fast. If we don't act, it could destroy our shelter." They ran together, gathering belongings and attempting to reinforce their makeshift home. Alex used pieces of the alien object to construct small barriers, while Mara collected stones and large leaves to protect the fire pit and supplies. The floodwaters rose higher, crashing against their efforts. For a moment, it seemed hopeless. Then Mara paused, her eyes narrowing. "Wait. The patterns on the object, they match the symbols on the stones. Maybe they can redirect the water." Alex followed her lead. Together, they arranged the stones according to the glowing symbols on the device. As they finished, a hum filled the air. Water began to flow around their shelter, creating a safe channel that diverted the flood. Alex stared at Mara in awe. "I didn't think of that. That was brilliant." Mara smiled faintly, though exhaustion lined her face. "I learned from you. We're better together." That night they sat by the fire, damp but safe. The flood had been a harsh reminder. The island was unpredictable, and survival required constant adaptation. "You know," Mara said softly, poking at the fire with a stick, "I always thought intelligence alone could solve problems. But here, emotion, intuition, that matters just as much." Alex nodded. "That's what makes humans unique. Logic is important, but caring, noticing, and adapting, that's what separates us from machines. That's why they're testing us." Days later, the island presented an even more challenging test. While exploring deeper into the forest, Alex and Mara discovered a narrow gorge with a steep cliff on one side and a cascading waterfall on the other. Across the gorge lay another glowing device. Alex studied it carefully. "We have to cross, but it's dangerous. One wrong step." Mara glanced at the sheer drop. "We'll have to rely on each other. That's the only way." Using vines and fallen branches, they constructed a precarious bridge. Every step required careful coordination, with Alex holding the vine tight while Mara balanced the other side. Halfway across, a branch snapped. "Hold on," Alex shouted, catching Mara by the arm. She gasped, her heart pounding, but trust carried them forward. Inch by inch they crossed, finally reaching the other side. The device pulsed with energy, projecting holograms of their crossing, analyzing their coordination, their communication, and their trust in each other. "Observation, teamwork, trust, and courage demonstrated," the holographic voice intoned. "Assessment progressing. Further evaluation required." Mara sank to the ground, breathing heavily. I've never had to rely on anyone like that. Not in business, not in life, but I trusted you," Alex smiled. "And I trusted you, that's what matters, that's what makes us human." The holographic voice remained silent for a moment before speaking again. "Next assessment, moral and creative problem solving. Your adaptability will be tested." The next challenge appeared in the form of a strange field of luminous plants. As they approached, the plants began to shift, forming patterns and symbols in the air. Each plant responded to their movements. Alex studied the patterns. "It's like a puzzle, but alive. We have to move carefully or we'll trigger something dangerous." Mara nodded, stepping lightly, observing the plants. "It's not just logic. We have to understand it, feel it, sense the rhythm." Together, they moved through the field, coordinating each step, noticing small changes in the plant's behavior. Alex manipulated the alien device, amplifying subtle energy signals, while Mara guided him based on intuition. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from their brows, muscles ached, but they finally reached the center of the field. The plants pulsed, then retreated, leaving behind a glowing pathway leading to a cave. Inside the cave, they found a large chamber filled with intricate machinery, pulsing with light. Holographic projections filled the room, displaying images of humans from various parts of the galaxy, some struggling, some thriving. The hologram appeared again, larger and more imposing than before. Observation: humans possess creativity, intuition, and empathy. Your species adapts in ways machines cannot. Assessment nearing conclusion. Alex and Mara exchanged a glance. "It's bigger than we thought," Mara whispered. Alex nodded. "They're testing humanity, not just us, all of us." As they explored the chamber, a new challenge emerged. A massive holographic barrier blocked the exit, covered in symbols and energy pulses. Only by arranging energy nodes, some powered by alien technology and others by natural materials, could they unlock the exit. Alex and Mara worked together, combining their knowledge of the alien devices with their understanding of natural forces. Mara suggested arranging stones and leaves according to the patterns they had seen in the glowing field. Alex used energy conduits from the alien object to stabilize the nodes. Time passed and frustration mounted. The nodes pulsed erratically, and at one point a burst of energy knocked them to the ground. "We can't give up," Alex said, pushing himself up. "We're humans. We adapt. We survive. That's what they're testing." Mara nodded, determination in her eyes. "Then let's finish this together." Step by step, they arranged the nodes correctly. The barrier shimmered, then vanished, revealing a passage leading to a platform overlooking the ocean. From the platform, they could see the island in its entirety: forests, streams, cliffs, and the strange glowing lights scattered throughout. It was breathtaking. The hologram appeared one last time. Observation complete. Humanity demonstrates adaptability, empathy, creativity, and courage. Your species possesses the qualities necessary for advancement. Evaluation concluded. Mara turned to Alex, her face reflecting relief, awe, and a newfound respect. We did it together. Alex smiled. We did, and it wasn't just survival. It was about caring, trusting, and thinking beyond ourselves. That's what makes us human. They stood in silence, watching the sun set over the ocean. The island had tested them, challenged them, and pushed them to their limits. But it had also revealed something profound: the strength of the human spirit, the power of cooperation, and the importance of empathy and trust. Mara turned to Alex, her voice quiet but sincere. If we're ever alone like this again, I hope you'd still stay by my side. Alex nodded. Always, there's no question about it. As night fell, the island's glow pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. The two humans had proven themselves, but the experience had also changed them. They were no longer simply a CEO and an engineer. They were survivors, partners, and witnesses to the extraordinary. Somewhere deep in the forest, faint lights moved, retreating as if acknowledging their success. The island had tested them, and humanity had passed, not through strength or firepower, but through adaptability, creativity, empathy, and trust. And for Alex and Mara, the bond forged in fire, flood, and fear had become unbreakable, a testament to what humans could achieve when they worked together, cared for one another, and never gave up. For the first time since they had arrived, the island felt less like a prison and more like a place of transformation, a place that had revealed the true potential of humanity. They settled by the fire one last time, exhaustion and satisfaction washing over them. Tomorrow they would plan their return, but tonight they simply watched the stars, grateful for survival, grateful for each other, and aware that they had witnessed something extraordinary. Somewhere, the faint glow in the forest pulsed in rhythm with their hearts. Alex and Mara didn't know what the future held, but they knew one thing with certainty. Together, they could face anything. And the island, mysterious, alive, and wise, seemed to approve. The first light of dawn spread across the island, casting long shadows between the trees and illuminating the gentle waves of the ocean. Alex woke to the sound of the stream trickling beside their shelter. Mara was already awake, sitting near the fire, staring at the horizon. "Morning," Alex said softly. "Morning," Mara replied, her voice calm but thoughtful. "I've been thinking. We've survived. We've passed their tests, but how do we get home?" Alex looked at the alien object that had become a constant part of their days. It glowed faintly, humming in response to their presence. He knelt and examined it carefully. Over the past days, they had discovered that it could manipulate energy, purify water, and even help solve the island's puzzles. Perhaps now it could be their way back. "We've learned how it works," Alex said. "I think if we activate the portal, it could take us home. But we have to do it together. Every step, every input must be precise." Mara nodded. "Then we do it together, as we always have." They moved to the center of the island where the final glowing device awaited. It was larger than the others, rising from the sand like a monument. The air vibrated with energy, and faint symbols floated around the chamber. Alex and Mara positioned themselves carefully. The device hummed louder as they placed their hands on the panels, feeling the pulse of alien energy flow through them. Symbols shifted, lights danced, and energy lines connected across the chamber. "Stay focused," Alex said. "We have to synchronize everything perfectly." Mara nodded, her fingers steady on the panels. "We've faced worse," she said softly, almost a whisper. "We can do this." Hours seemed to pass, though the chamber's glowing light made it difficult to judge time. Small mistakes caused flashes of energy, and the panels reset multiple times. Yet together, they learned the rhythm of the device, combining logic, intuition, and trust. At last, the final symbols aligned. A soft hum became a low roar. The chamber shimmered, and before them a circular portal of pure energy opened, showing glimpses of the open ocean and familiar skies beyond. Alex exhaled. "We did it. We're going home." Mara smiled, though her eyes were misty. I never thought I'd make it, not like this, not with someone I could truly trust." Alex reached for her hand. "We made it together, that's all that mattered." As they stepped through the portal, a strange sensation enveloped them, warmth, light, and a sense of being lifted from the island itself. The alien devices pulsed one last time, as if acknowledging their success, then went dark. When they emerged, they were back on the beach where the yacht had once lain. The storm that had brought them here had long passed. Sunlight sparkled on the calm ocean, and the air smelled of salt and freedom. They were back in the familiar world, yet everything felt changed. Mara looked around, then turned to Alex. "It's strange. Everything is the same, but we aren't." Alex nodded. "We've changed. The island tested us, but more than that, it showed us what humans can do. Adapt, think, care, trust, that's our strength." For a moment they stood in silence, watching the waves. The isolation, the challenges, the tests, it all felt like a distant dream and yet profoundly real. Days passed as they adjusted to civilization again. Rescue teams eventually arrived. Guided by a faint signal Alex had managed to send from the alien object before leaving the island. They were brought back to Titan Tech's headquarters, greeted with concern and relief from colleagues. Yet Alex and Mara didn't feel the same way about the world as before. Meetings, schedules, and corporate decisions felt smaller, less important. They had survived a world that tested their humanity itself, and learned that strength, creativity, empathy, and trust were far more valuable than power or authority. In the quiet of her office, Mara looked at Alex. "You know, I've been thinking. Out there, we were alone. Just the two of us. I needed someone I could rely on. I needed you." Alex smiled gently. "And I stayed because that's what matters, and I always will." She reached out, placing a hand on his. "I'm not the same boss I was before. I think I've finally learned what it means to care and to trust." Alex nodded. "We both have. That's what the island taught us." In the following weeks, Titan Tech launched new initiatives inspired by their experience, projects emphasizing collaboration, empathy, and problem-solving. Alex and Mara's bond became more than survival. It became a partnership built on trust and mutual respect. One evening, long after returning, they walked along a quiet beach, the sky painted in pink and gold. The ocean stretched endlessly, reminding them of the island that had changed their lives forever. Mara turned to Alex, her expression serious yet soft. "If we're ever alone like that again, I hope you'll still stay by my side." Alex looked into her eyes, heart steady. "I will, always." For the first time, Mara smiled without hesitation, without the shield of authority, without pretense. They walked in silence, comfortable in each other's presence, knowing that whatever challenges came next, they would face them together. The alien devices, the island, the tests, it had all been a journey of revelation. Humanity's edge was not in strength or speed or firepower. It was in creativity, in trust, in empathy, in the courage to act even when the outcome was uncertain. Alex and Mara had lived it. They had proven it. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the world, they understood that their experience on the island was only the beginning. They had returned transformed, not just survivors, but humans who had glimpsed the true potential of their species. The power of heart, mind, and spirit combined. The waves whispered against the shore, steady and eternal, as if acknowledging their triumph. Somewhere far away, the island remained, its mysteries intact, waiting for the next humans to test. But Alex and Mara had changed forever, and together they were ready for anything. The world felt larger, more vibrant, and infinitely full of possibilities. And in each other's presence, they had found a strength neither had ever known, the undeniable, unbreakable strength of humanity.